I am open and receptive as I receive this message today. Something I am about to hear applies to my life. I am here by divine appointment to receive the spiritual tools for personal transformation and to help make the world a better place. My life's purpose is already within me, and I am committed to its unfoldment. As I hear truth today, I am set free, and so are you. Let's grow together. And I invite you to come back to the podium for our message today.
The video we saw was from the movie Hoosiers. It was a speech given by the coach, played by Gene Hackman, during halftime in a basketball game. It's known as one of the best sports halftime speeches ever in a movie. The premise is that only half the game is over. There's still another half. The second half, to come back and get the outcome you're looking for. And it doesn't always mean to win by the final score. The first half doesn't determine the outcome of the game. The second half does. It reminds me of an often used phrase in our teaching: principle is not bound by precedent. What has happened in the past doesn't determine principle. What happens in the past doesn't determine our future. What happens in the first half of the year doesn't determine what happens in the second half. What happens in the first part of our life doesn't determine how we live the next part. I love asking questions. I always have. And my mother, she wasn't always crazy about that, because I kind of drove her a little crazy when I was a child. There's a question I always used to ask when we were in the car, and maybe you did too. Why does the moon always follow us when we're driving? Right? You know, I wondered that for years. And she got tired of hearing that question because she didn't have the answer, and she bought me a book that did. It's a children's book that's called Tell Me Why. And for those of you who are old enough, you probably know what that looks like. And it answered most questions that children would answer, and this was one of them. So did you know that the reason why it looks like the moon is following us is because of how far the moon is in relation to all the objects we see as we're driving in a car? Those objects, trees and street lamps, are right next to us. The moon is far away, but the relative distance between the two, it kind of creates an optical illusion. So as we enter the second half of the year and the next part of our lives, I've got a few more questions. Do you have what you need? Do you need what you have? And what do you need to have? Epicurus said, not what we have, but what we enjoy constitutes our abundance. When you ask the question, do you have what you need, whether the answer is yes or no, it all starts and ends with whether you feel abundant, whether you have abundance in your life. Now, our teaching shows us that we have all we need, but sometimes it doesn't feel that way, right? Epicurus said, it's not what we have, but what we enjoy that determines whether we are abundant or not. So in other words, are you enjoying what you have? If you have, you've attracted all the abundance you need. But if you're like most of us, you might not quite have everything yet. So how can we change that? How can we attract what will bring us joy? So I always thought being in joy is a process, right? Sometimes we feel it and sometimes not so much. The French priest and scientist Pierre Teilhard de Chardin said, "We are not human beings having a spiritual experience. We're spiritual beings having a human experience." So living in this physical body, there's always more joy to experience. Now we've heard of the phrase, thoughts become things. A number of well-known folks have said this many different ways, but the concept is the same. What you think about, you attract and bring into your consciousness. Our teaching shows that. But another question, where do our thoughts come from? So our Science of Mind text says, how much can you demonstrate? Just what one can believe. How much can we see? How much can we accept? How much can we find in our consciousness? Whatever that is, that much we can have. So this begs the question, do you have what you need? What you have is based on what you believe. This is where our thoughts come from. How much can you demonstrate? Just what one can believe. What you see, what you accept, what you find in your consciousness determines what you have. So if you feel like you don't have what you need, you know what? You can change that. Look at your belief about what you have or don't have and see if that lines up with the abundance you seek in your life, the experiences you want to enjoy. If you change your belief around this, you can change your thoughts, which will change your actions, which then will change what you attract in your life. Belief, thoughts, action is what you get. So I think a better way to look at the phrase thoughts become things is really belief becomes things. Marcus Aurelius said, let not your mind run on what you lack as much as what you have already. Let not your mind run on what you lack as much as on what you have already. So when we ask if we need what we have, it kind of sounds like a little lack of limitation going on there. There are only two mindsets we can have. Either abundance, or if we don't feel that, we've got lack. And as Aurelius said, focus on what you have already and not what you don't. So we can either focus on what we have or what we don't. That's our choice. Like the song says, love is our decision. This is our decision. I think we all know what we should be focusing on, but why are we not in that state of mind all of the time, right? How can we shift our minds away from what we perceive is not in our life? By thinking about what we do have in our life, and we can do that through gratitude. There is so much we have in our life. If we only focus on what is already in our life, whatever that is for each of us, there will be no time to think about what we believe we don't or what we believe we need. So let's do a test this week. Make an intention to think about and only bring into your consciousness what you are grateful for in your life. then see how much time is left to think about what you think you don't have or think you need. I'm going to come back and you're going to give you results next week. The Science of Mind text also says, the divine cannot lack for anything, and we should not lack for anything that makes life worthwhile here on earth. So beautiful. When we focus on what we have through gratitude, the universe is listening. And we know the universe as the objective mind that doesn't judge, that doesn't question, can only say yes. The universe will keep giving us what we think about and keep giving us what we believe. The answer to the question of whether you have what you need or need what you have comes down to two words: being present. Bill Keane said, "Yesterday's the past, tomorrow's the future, but today is a gift." That's why it's called the present. We talked about focusing on gratitude in attracting abundance and steering away from lack and limitation. And maybe that sounds easier than done. The way we can stay in this mindset is by being present. Buddha said, "Do not dwell in the past. Do not dream of the future. Concentrate the mind on the present moment." When we can let go of the past and not focus on it, we can be in the present, grateful for what we have. When we don't worry about the future, again, we allow ourselves to look where we are right here and right now. That will allow us to be present in everything in our life, in a state of thankfulness and gratitude. Another question. You know I love questions. Did you ever notice that the universe has a way of giving us opportunities to experience life lessons? Now, I'm grateful to have many of these experiences, not all of them, but most. The one that hit home the most profoundly was my most recent blessing. So last year was the end of a long-term relationship. I've had relationships end before, but this one ended very abruptly and harshly for me. Had to find a place to live and move in 10 days. So I went through two of the most stressful times of our lives, moving and the end of a relationship. In reflecting on that time, what got me through the pain and the healing was recognizing the beauty that I already had in my life. People to support me, a thriving business, my spiritual practice, my health, a roof over my head, and no limitation of resources. I was in awe of what was right there before me, not where I came from or what my next step might be. I allowed and accepted this life change as an opportunity to grow and to know the universe has my back. It always has, and of course, I trusted it would now. How many times do we add the words "or something better" when we pray? I do that all the time, and I did that then. I wasn't locked into what I was affirming. I was asking the universe, I know you know better than me, so I'm going to let you take over. We allow the universe and spirit to know what our highest good really is. I knew that, and I just got out of the way. I could have worried about whether I had what I needed or needed what I had. I could have dwelled on the past and what might have been and the pain, or worry about what the future might hold. I made a conscious choice and decision to focus on what I did have and be in a state of gratitude. There was so much to be thankful about. There was no room to think about the past or the future. This allowed me the gift of being present. So you heard the song that Ascend played so beautifully, 100 Years. It's a song performed by Five for Fighting and has so much deep meaning to it. It talks about the different stages of our life. The song is a simple reminder about how precious life is, how we should sink in every moment, how we should look up to what we have. The song begins at age 15. It's a time of dreams and the cusp of youth and adulthood. The song culminates at 99, looking back and still dreaming, emphasizing the brevity of life and the importance of cherishing each moment. There's a couple of verses that really have meaning for me. Half time goes by. Suddenly you're wise, another blink of an eye. 67 is gone, the sun is getting high. We're moving on. I'm 99 for a moment, dying for just another moment. And I'm just dreaming, counting the ways to where you are. As we enter the second half of this year and the next part of our lives, it's halftime. We don't need to focus on whether we have what we need or need what we have. We know we have everything we need. And all we need to do is look at what we are grateful for and be present with all that we do have. We know when those thoughts of lack and limitation come through, and they will, we can look at our beliefs around this and change them to align with the abundance that's already in our life. This will change our thoughts, which will change what we have and what we experience. It reminds me of the quote from the movie When Harry Met Sally. I want what she's having. So let me close with a quote by Ernest Holmes. No matter what our emotional storm or what our objective situation may be, there's always something hidden in the inner being that has never been violated. We may stumble, but always there is an eternal voice forever whispering within our ear that thing which causes the external quest, the eternal quest, that thing which forever sings and sings. As we enter into the next part of the year in our lives, let's know that we don't know what the next year, month, day, or even the next minute will bring. We're not guaranteed to live 100 years, although I'd like to. But we can live each moment by being present to what is. We can live a life of no regrets by affirming what we have, being present in gratitude. Let's affirm to the universe our unconditional truth and repeat after me. I have what I need. I need what I have. I live in the present moment. I affirm my abundance through gratitude. It's always halftime in our lives when we are present and in gratitude. So it is.